Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Saturday Morning Sketch. I hope that you are having a good morning so far, and if you're just getting ready to drink your coffee, I think that's wonderful. I love that you'll be here with me. Now I'm going to put this up on my computer so that I can see any questions you might have, any comments along the way. So today I've got this sketch right here. Okay, so let's dissect this sketch first because it's just a good one to look over before we do anything. And I already know some changes I'm going to make. I'm actually going to move this cluster right here over to this side and put this photo over here. Now, if I do that, it would be too photo heavy over here, so I need to just swap the whole layout, right? Okay, so we've got a 3x4 here, a 3x4 here, and then we're going to put a 6x4 up here, okay? And now in the middle here, if we have a strip of paper behind here, I think I'm going to go with a 12 by, if we move that down, I'm going to do a 12 by 7. And then we're going to have a white base, of course. And then up here, and down here, I'm going to do a 1-inch strip here, 12-inch by 1-inch. And down here, I'm going to do a 12-inch by 1.5-inch. And then we've got a title strip here, which I don't know if I'll use, and then one right here. And then we'll get to these in the end. But that should make our, I'm not going to, you'll see, I think this is supposed to be a background here, but I'm going to go with it ending right here on the square of the layout so that we can just put a 12 by 1 across the top and a 12 by 1.5 right across the bottom. And then I'll do 2 photo mats on my pictures. I'm going to do a 3 1/8 by 4 1/8, and then I'm going to do a 3 1/2 by 4 1/2. I'm going to try that, and if I don't like that size, I'll bring it down to 1/4, but I'd really like to do that size and have some room for writing on there. And the same thing here then, I'm going to go 6 1/8 by 4 1/8, and then I'll go 6 1/2 by 4 1/2 on this one. But like I said, I'm going to swap. I'm actually going to be making a second page to go with this, and I'll sketch it out for you so you can see what I'm going to do. But because this is a left page, and then I'm going to make a right page, I don't want this cluster right in the middle. It's smaller than this. It just wouldn't look quite right there if I'm swapping, if I'm going to do the swapping of the page. So I'm going to bring that over here. Okay, so there we go. Good morning, everyone. Let's get started in choosing our paper, and I've got to grab some white cardstock so that I have that. Okay, I have some pictures of a giraffe, some zoo photos I'm going to use. I'll cut these small ones down. 1.5 inches off here should leave me. No, that's going to take, I'm going to go 1 inch think this must have printed a little crooked. It did. Okay, I'm going to straighten that out. Oh, I'm going to have to go right down to the photo on this one, unless I use these other two. Oh, I could use the other two. But I'm going to check. It looks like, do you see the photo printed a little thinner on this end than it did on that end? So I need to kind of tilt that photo a little bit so that I can get just the right amount off. And that leaves me a little bit of a white edge. Wow, that is a pain when that happens. I think I'm just going to cut right down to the photo. And then this is going to be a little smaller than 3 by 4 because I'm doing that. I should have cut them before, but I guess it's good for you to see what I do if something like that happens. I don't know if the paper was in the printer a little crooked. That is my guess, is that it didn't feed out quite straight. Okay, now let's do this guy. Same giraffe, same baby giraffe. Went with some good friends and we went to feed the giraffe. So now I want to have one page, which I'm making today, of the giraffe, and then I want to have a 4-square page to do the 4 of us feeding. So let's see where I have this. Get that little white edge off. There we go. And then the other one will have a 4 by 6 edge. But you know what? That one printed crooked too, and I didn't even look until now. So I've got to take the white edge off of here too. I got to check my paper in my printer. It was crooked. It fed crookedly. So I'm just going with the plain photos, and I can always use some white cardstock to put behind that, which is what I will most likely do, because I kind of wanted, oh, those are cute, huh? Let's see what these measure now. 3 3/4 by 5 3/4. I'm going to write that down so I don't have to remember that in my head. 5 3/4 by 3 3/4. I can just bring all the measurements of the mat down. 3 3/4 by 3. Well, 3 by 3 3/4. And let's see if this one's the same, because we need to make it the same. Yep. Okay. I've got my pictures ready, so I know exactly what size mats I need to make. Okay? We'll go back to that in a minute. We need to pick out some paper. So we need a nice tonal paper for this background. We don't want anything taking away from these pictures. And so we're going to go with a nice tonal background here. And I'm probably going to pick pretty tonal paper for there as well. Okay, so I've got all kinds of different paper packs here. This is Natural Beginnings, and it's got this nice green stripe and like a green dot, if you can see. And then we've got just a regular plain brown. Okay, and then I've got some Your Own Way that's got these arrows, which I thought were kind of nice. And this Your Own Way pumpkin color. So we can mix all of these papers together. We don't have to choose from one paper pack. Then I couldn't help but think of these two sheets of paper. They're from an Advisor Escape Bundle, and it's called Paradise Found, and I love it. And so I think for a giraffe, this might work really well. And then look at this. I have Bundle of Joy, because look at this palette. Is so nice. These three are Bundle of Joy. These two are from Grateful Harvest last year, our fall paper last year. So the best way to go about picking out what I want is just to lay the photos on there and see what I think. I don't think I need blue, but I do like the orange mixed in there, the pumpkin. These are nice colors right here. These are really good ones. Let's check this out. This is just a little too busy for what I want, and so is that bottom one. But this Your Own Way sheet with this orange might not be so bad, except I'm not liking it like I like the Bundle of Joy. And then we've got these. That's too brown. I like the wood grain much better. Let's see how I feel about mixing that green in versus the green. It's not enough green. I need that green. Okay, so there we go. I'm done. I've picked it. And I've got my photos. I'm going to put those off to the side, and I'm going to grab a piece of white, bright white cardstock. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is splatter some ink. Now my photos are going to go here and here. I think I want that splatter around the photo a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to grab Toffee Crunch. This is my unopened one. I need the one that's open. I'm going to grab Toffee Crunch. Good morning, everyone. An embellishment bag. You know that I do this. You know that I always use an embellishment bag just for cleaning ease. And you've seen me do this enough times. Just ink up the embellishment bag with some ink. I can't even tell if you can see that on the screen. And I'm going to take a little bit wider brush. There's two brushes that I keep pretty close to me. This one makes little splatters, and this one makes a little bit bigger. So I'm going to go with the bigger one because I might do two splatters here. So I've spritzed my toffee, and I'm going to put my splatters up in this corner. And down here. You know, this isn't getting on my layout studio at all. However, if it did, it would just wipe right off. It would just come right off with no problems at all. And that's one thing that I like about the layout studio is that it's nice, and the material is really nice for cleaning. So I'm not afraid to use that at all. I'm going to grab another embellishment package and grab some, and you saw that I just took the brush and some water and just wiped it off. Now I'm going to grab some bamboo leaves ink. That's going to give me a little more green. And I'm going to do some more things with these inks, I think. And I'm going to splatter some green in there as well. Okay, now I went out far enough that, remember, I have a 1-inch piece up here and a 1.5 down there. So I want to leave room for them. Look at how easy that is. My brush is clean. It's just so easy to use an embellishment packet and throw it away. Really easy. Okay. So my splattering is done. I love the green that this is turning into. And now we're going to, I'm going to just wipe here in case. This was kind of course, the Bundle of Joy embellishments and the Grateful Harvest from last year aren't really going to match for this one. So I needed to grab embellishments from all over the place. I'm going to go with this wood grain in the middle because I think I'm going to like the photo on top that. Yes. So this was a 12-inch by 7-inch piece. And I'm just going to take 5 inches off. You know, you never have to look at a paper pack and think, I can't use that for anything. This is Bundle of Joy, for goodness sake, the baby paper. And look at how it's going to work with these photos so well. I'm going to take my Toffee. No, you know what? I'm going to get the rich cocoa and put some ink on the edges. Just because it's a nice distinction. It makes that paper piece stand out. And I like that whole idea. So rich cocoa will be what I use to sponge the edges of all the papers. And I really do believe that when I'm looking at it artistically, if you do rich cocoa on the edges of one sheet, you're going to want to do that same ink color throughout, just for cohesiveness. Aren't those slick to use? So now let's get my paper on here, and because I have my layout studio, and I use my layout studio so I can use magnets, right? I love it. And holds my paper in place and I don't have to worry. So we've got 5 inches. This was 7 inches, so I need 2.5 at the top and 2.5 at the bottom. So let's go ahead and do that. Yep, lots of adhesive. Okay, 2.5. And I'm on the mat, so I don't have to worry that it's going to move. But I can also take my ruler from the layout studio and put that at 2.5. So that I can just put that right against the ruler with no problems at all. Either way is really slick when you're using this layout studio. I love it so much. Now I want to cut paper for the back of these giraffe pictures because that's going to help me pick what papers I'm going to use on the top and the bottom. So I've got another sheet of white cardstock. Now this is now 5 3/4 by 3 3/4. So I'm going to make this 3 7/8. And if you have this trimmer, your 1/8 inch measurements are right there at the top. 3 7/8 by 5 7/8. Okay, I want it just an inch, 1/8 of an inch bigger than my photos. I am used to simply measuring that way and putting my photos on. If you are measuring in to put your photos on and then cut around, you can do that too. I just have never done it that way. And so this is kind of the way I've always done it. I've always cut my paper and then matted. Okay, now I need 2 3 7/8, and this was 3 7/8 by 3 1/8. I know, who would think to use Bundle of Joy, Brenda? That is really a different choice for this, isn't it? But, and then I was able to pick out a sheet of the Autumn Harvest from last year, and it works just perfect. And you'll see we're going to use that orange in small doses so that it doesn't pop off the page. And oh yeah, I like that. Now I use semi-gloss paper. I switched over to Canon because for some reason Canon paper comes out of my Epson Eco Tank better than Epson paper does. So I switched over to Canon semi-gloss, and that's why I can rub my hands on the photo. You're not going to get fingerprints when you use semi-gloss paper. If you're using glossy, you really need to keep a microfiber cloth near you so that you can wipe those fingerprints off if you end up rubbing across the photo. Okay, now I'm going to want a mat behind those. Okay, and I'm only going to go 1/8 of an inch bigger. Remember, in my original directions, I put 3/8 of an inch bigger around each side. I kind of like that we can see so much splatter. And I also really like this wood grain. Now, I need another mat for behind there. I'm going to choose this dark wood grain. Okay, so that was 5 7/8. I need 6 by 4 for this one. And you can choose to have your wood grain go whichever way you want. I like mine to go up and down, but you can choose to have it go side by side if you want. So I am cutting the 6 by 4 to put under the large giraffe paper. And then if I'm going to keep with my wood grain going up and down, I need, that was 3 1/8. So 3 1/4. 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. No, we went 3 7/8. So 4. Because I had to cut my pictures, remember? So I'm having to alter that a little bit. Oh, those two are perfect. Good, good, good. Now once I have this matted, I'll be able to see a little bit better what photos, what paper to use. Oftentimes I will do my mats after I have my paper laid down, but this is such a particular paper that I just really want to have that brown. And because I want to have things showing, these splatters showing, then I want to mat these so I know what colors I'm working with. Okay? That's why I'm matting them first this time. Oh, I love this. That was from Bundle of Joy too, this brown wood. And it's this one that has like these little things on it. So now I know, oh, those pop out really good. I really like having that white frame, which is why I printed them with a white frame to begin with. Okay. I'm going to grab one of my stencils before I put those photos down. And we have, I want either the splattered elements. Let's pull these off. Which ones I'm thinking about. I like the grid too because, you know, he's kind of got grids, which might be good. I don't want the industrial elements. These are all the stencils we've had so far. I love them. I love going through the stencils. And these are our new ones coming on Monday. You'll be able to order them. I'd really like to use that one, but we'll stick with this. And now I have my photos set where I want them. And you'll see I lined up the top. If you're linear like me, you're going to want that top lined up. If you're not linear, don't worry about it. I'm trying to find my pencil. I had it right here. Okay. Oh, there it is. I want to put a mark where this photo is with my pencil. Okay, so I know where that photo is going to go. I also want one down here. I just want to give myself a little bit of a guideline as far as how I'm going to put in some of these grids. Now, I'm going to use, I have mint tape right now at home, so that's what I'm going to use. And I'm just going to section off a portion of this stencil. Okay, so that it doesn't land on the brown. It's going to go right against there. Now, I'm going to grab some Toffee ink. I feel like that's crooked. I need to get this closer to me. I have stenciled with the Layout Studio up, and I like it a lot. I can see where I'm going. Now I'm going to pounce this off because I don't want anything dark right on on any part of the grid, we're going soft. And remember, like I always say, you can add more ink, but you can't take ink away. Okay. Now I'm just going to go kind of in a circular motion. I don't want my grids to be a straight line above that photo. I want them just to be really organic. And so I don't want to stencil down the side or anything like that. And there I've got some really light toffee stencil on that. And it's going to be right at the corner of the photo. So I'm going to do that here on the other side as well, where I have splattered. This is making for a really interesting pattern on top of the splatter. We're layering ink right now. First, we started with Toffee Crunch splatters, and we layered some bamboo leaves splatters on top of that. Now I'm layering some stenciling. So you can see the stenciling down there. And it really does make for a zoo type page when you do that. Oh, you guys are from all over the place this morning. It is really nice to see all of you. So we've got that down. Now I can think about that 1.5 inch strip and the 1 inch strip I have there, if I decide I want it, because this is such a nice background that I don't know that I'm willing to give that up. I don't know if I'm willing to put anything there. And so instead, before I even think about doing that, I'm going to grab some borders. And these were just borders in my stash. Just really generic borders. I don't even know which paper pack they're from. I think this was from Spring Soiree. But I'm not sure that I want to use that on this. I just grabbed them in case. The one I've liked, oh here, we've got this one. That one's probably the one I like the best so far. However, I'm not real keen on the color, and so I'm going to move this completely, grab this piece of paper on the back where my sketch is, and I'm going to take some Toffee ink. I wonder, have you ever thought of that? If your embellishments aren't quite the right color of what you're doing, you can ink them. Now, what that's doing is that's making a little bit grayer instead of making it more toffee colored. I'm just going to, I don't have anything to lose here, so I'm going to accept a border, and I'm okay with that. I'm going to grab my rich cocoa ink instead and see if that'll give me more of the brown that I'm looking for. And if it doesn't, I'll just forego this. It's okay to try things. Now that gives me definitely more of a brown, but is it the kind of brown that I want with this? I don't think so. It's just a little bit, white might be it. I just am not feeling it at all with that. So, and like I said, I don't want to give up this background that I've created. And so I'm going to leave that be, and I'm not going to put this 1 inch and 1.5 inch because it just takes up too much real estate as far as the paper goes. And that's what I love about white cardstock in the background. It really helps bring everything together, and I wouldn't be able to splatter like that or stencil like that if I was using darker paper, would I? It might show up on here a little bit, but I wouldn't be able to show it otherwise. Maybe that is the reason. If you're ever looking for a reason for why I use white, maybe that's it right there. I like to stencil and ink, and so I want that white paper in the background to help me make it effective. Yeah, there wasn't enough contrast. Tracy, I agree with you. It didn't come out what I was hoping it would come out. Now I'm going to put this 1 3/4 inch from the bottom and 1 inch over. And then put the other one right next to it. The green one that's sort of lacy. Well, this giraffe has brown eyes. It doesn't have green eyes, but I can see why you would like that. Now we've got those photos on there. Oh, I'm so happy that I left that. Now let's go 1 3/4 inch from the top. And 1 inch from the side. That's just a little too much space in there. So I'm going to go 1 7/8, maybe even 2. And I'm going to move those up a little bit. Didn't hide my little line, so I need to move it just a little bit. And one of the reasons I love the Layout Studio is that I can put it up before I even set it down. And unfortunately, when we're working on camera like this, I can't do that. And so I'm kind of grasping. There. Now we're good. And I need to bring these up just a little bit. Yeah. So that they're closer. I want more of a cluster of photos than a, you know, spread apart photos. Where are we here? We are at 1 7/8. Okay. Okay, so now we have this swapped from the other way that it was. And I've got that nice white space there. What I'm going to do up in this corner is put these banners, okay? But I love this little stencil. And I'm going to put some of this little drops right there in Toffee, and I'm going to do it very lightly, my friends, very lightly, because I still want to have the distinction of the grid, but I'd like to have a little of those. Now, I'm not even taping that off because I'm just doing a circular motion over some of these circles, okay? Just to put a little bit of wash, like water drop, on there. So I don't feel like I need to tape that off because I'm staying right within. I'm holding my brush so light. And that gives me those little water drops that I want. So we use two stencils. We use the splattered elements and we use the grid. And if you don't have those, oh, really treat yourself to them. I could see using, let's get our paper up there first. I'm going to use some of this. And we're going to go 1 inch wide with these. And let's see, I've got about, I'm going to go 3 inches on this one. I can always cut it off if I want it cut off. It's always best to cut your banners a little longer. In fact, I'm going to bring it at 4. That gives me plenty of room to cut it off at the top. And then I'm going to grab some of this green because the green is in the photos in the leaves, which is really nice. So I'm going to cut 4-inch pieces here too, and then stagger them. Okay. Now, before I ink these up, I want to dovetail the bottom. And I'm just going to go up through the middle, leaving just, you know, barely 1/4 of an inch. Because I can always recut the dovetail, but if I make it too deep, I can't cut it back. I can't put it back. So it's the same theory as ink. And you'll want to grab your micro tip scissors for this. Yeah, I love giraffes too. This is the second time I've had the pleasure of feeding one. And that's the photos that are going to go on the other page. My friends and I feeding them. So, now I want to take that rich cocoa, because remember we said we want to use the same palette of color. This is a baby girl giraffe. I want to say her name is Zinnia, but I've got to ask again. She was just such a little sweetheart. Love doing animal pages. My domestic animals, animals from the zoos. I absolutely love animals. Okay, so now we've got that on there. I'm gonna remove these again and turn this way so that I put these on straight. That picked up a little bit. Okay, now is when I need my ruler again. Who has the layout studio? You won't regret this purchase. Not at all. Okay, I'm going to go down as far as 4 inches. I need my repositionable one. Here it is. I'm going to go down 4 inches with this one. And then this is at the 2-inch mark. I might go 2.5 though, because, or 2 1/4, because I don't want them to end exactly where the photo ends. We've got to have a little off balance there. Now we'll put these up, but we're going to cut them in different lengths. So we'll get, oh, I want my repositionable. So I'll just bring that one up a little. And then this one will go up even just a little bit more so that they're not even. They don't fall in even with the photo. Okay. I'm going to cut that off. Alrighty. Oh, that looks nice right there. That's much better to me than putting this border and border. This is really a good pattern. You can do a lot with it. And I just really like that versus something else. I need to choose a title. Now I've got 2 places so far that could be used for journaling. But I want a title somewhere too. And I just pulled out these titles that I have from 49 and Market. It's from their nature collection. And that would look cute right above the... Oh, that would be so cute because she's growing. Oh, yeah, that would be really cute. This one is kind of cute too, because she was. Let's just leave that one out for a second and see what I think of that after a little bit. And then Best Ever is really a nice title. And I've got a lot of little titles. So remember, I said I didn't really have any embellishments for this paper that would work. Oh, curious, look at you. It's funny, she's so little for a giraffe. And, you know, I saw us all talking to her while we would feed her. Every one of us would say something to her about what a good girl she was. You can tell we're parents. Okay, Debbie, you like that one? And you like that? Okay, good. Save. This one says good friends, so I'm going to save that. I'm going to move this. And since we went with brown up there, I'm going to put this right here and draw journaling lines underneath there. Sometimes I don't know if a page needs as much paper as we think it needs. It's okay not to put a whole bunch of paper and embellishments. That one's kind of cute too. Time for an adventure. Okay, so we've got that at 7 inches. Now's when I really want my paper not to move, because I'm going to draw journaling lines. And when you draw journaling lines, you really don't want your paper to move. There's plenty of journaling stamps out there as well that you can use. And I probably have plenty. So I'm going to start at 7.5. And I think I'm going to test my brown marker. There's a new one that just came out. What is this one? And then there's this one. So I'm going to grab a piece of this, and if you ever wonder how to test, just draw a line on the paper that you're going to draw on. Oh, they're virtually the same thing. This one's just a little darker, just a tad. So it's going to, the brown's going to look fine on there. But that's how you test before you go ahead and do something that's permanent on there that makes you want to change your paper. So I'm going to go about here and then go 1/4 of an inch down. I love the distinction of lines on my page. And I have to tell you that if I don't draw lines, I generally will draw pencil lines. And then I can see so that I'm writing straight. And do you see how easy this is, just to move the ruler 1/4 of an inch, and you leave that 1/4 of an inch for journaling. Lines always make me feel a little more finished at the end. be right here. And hopefully that's enough lines for me. I get kind of long-winded when I journal. So I like the details up here. I wonder if I don't want to stop and be looking through my embellishments now when I'm here on camera, but I'm going to look and see if I have any butterflies or anything like that to kind of fill out some of this space. And if I don't find anything to fill out that space, I'm perfectly fine leaving it empty. Like, I like that. Bring this down a little. But a couple of butterflies would finish this off nicely right here and right here. And it's always nice to get these in different sizes so that they aren't perfect. You don't need anything to be perfect in scrapbooking. So now these are from, I want to say it's $49 in Market Nature, but Vintage Nature or something like that. It is no longer available. So I'm using up my last ones. Oh, there, I like that. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this down. I'm going to use some, it's not going anywhere now because I'm going to put Barely Art glue on the back of it. It's a little heavier embellishment, so I want to make sure that it's got a good amount of glue to hold it down. It's not very thick, but it's a chipboard. You've got like 2 seconds to move it around if you need to, and then it's done. Got some glue on the page, but remember this dries clear. And I'm doing things left-handed. I don't know why, because I am so predominantly right hand, not ambidextrous at all. And this is why I like the layout studio, because if I was not on camera, I would be able to stand this up and make sure everything was straight and lined up. I'm kind of relying on the mercy of the camera right now to show me that everything is lined up. Oh, we need to put this details down. And I know I have butterflies, so I'm going to put this over just a little bit, not halfway, but over just a bit, so that I can put a butterfly right there. Now, what I took out for gems that I really like, let's see, I gotta hold this still, okay, is from Honeybee Stamps. They make these, and they are Green and Grunge. No, this one is Back to the Basics, and this one is Green and Grunge. And it's that nice brown color and like a dark gold. So it gives me the color that I need with these. And I'm going to put a couple down, but not all of them, because I want I want to see what embellishments I find to go on this page. Like if I put butterflies, I would put a gem up in their middle. So I don't want to do too much as far as gems go. But when you see the finished page posted, you'll see everything in place. Yeah, it's kind of nice to have these brown. Okay. So for right now, I'm just real happy with what I've chosen, and I just don't need anything more, I don't think. I don't need any more paper or anything at all. I have let the white background and the stenciling and splattering speak for everything that's necessary on this layout. And by giving a little bit of room right down in here, I'm allowing the page to breathe a little bit, because when you look at this page now in the end, you're going to see that giraffe. That'll be the first thing you see. And Lori, this is Bundle of Joy. How about that? Bundle of Joy. The accessories are from 49 and Market, and I was saying that they're not available anymore. I pulled them out of my sort and stash to use, and what I have left is all that I can get. So there we go. That is it for me today. I'll finish this up with journaling and a couple of butterflies or something nature-like like that. And I will post it and put the link to the YouTube. Thanks so much for coming with me today. I really like that you were able to sit and scrap with me. Have a great day, everybody. Stay cool. Bye-bye.